What's up, guys, and welcome to what's up, guys, and welcome to another exciting video from me. It's your host again, Gideon. Um, in today's video, we're going to be talking about risk management and how to prevent deep drawdown. Right. So, what is deep drawdown? For instance, you have, let's say, this is your account balance. This is the starting point of your account, right? So deep drawdown is something like this, right? Maybe you went up a little bit, and then deep drawdown is something like this. So let's assume this is 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. Let's use -8. So deep drawdown is you going from positive down to maybe -6%, right? So how do you get out of this kind of drawdown? That's what I want to share with you in this video. How do you get out of this and possibly crawl out? Because most challenges, if you buy a funded account, right? If you purchase a funded account, you'd have a target of, let's say, 10% or 8%, right? So your target will be 10% or 8%. Now, if you are in a drawdown of -6%, which is here, if you're this deep in drawdown, maybe you have all the way to 10%. So it's remaining just 4% for you to blow the account. And then you come down into drawdown. How do you get out of this drawdown? So that's where risk management comes into play. All right. That's where risk management comes into play. So what we're going to do here is the first rule of getting out of drawdown is to reduce risk. That's rule number one. Reduce your risk. If you can reduce your risk, it's going to do two things for you. Number one, it's going to give you confidence. And number two, is going to help you avoid fear. Because if your account is remaining just 4% for you to blow it, you can easily get scared and screw everything up. Okay? So, do you agree with me that getting out of this drawdown is going to be hard for most people? Why? Is it because they don't understand their strategy? No. It's because of the psychological effect this kind of drawdown does to you. Number one, it would cause you to start rushing. Now, you remember you still have 10% to make. So how do you, you'd want to get out of this as fast as you can, right? But that's what makes people blow their account and lose challenges. So if you're in this kind of a drawdown, you need to reduce your risk. When we are trading, there are two types of capital we have. There are two types of equity we have. We have the equity on your account, which is your account balance, and then you have mental equity. All right? So we have mental equity. So what is mental equity? Okay? What exactly is, I don't know if you're seeing this properly. Let me go back a little bit. Cool. So what exactly is mental equity? So do you know that kind of confidence you get when you're up here? When you're up here, there's this kind of confidence you get when you're up maybe 1% or 0.5%. If you're up, you feel confident. Your trust for your strategy is high. So you don't hesitate to take the next trade. All right. So at that point, your mental equity is very high. Okay. But you see, at this point, this is where people tend to gamble with the market. This is where people start guessing and trying. You don't want to guess and try when you're trading, because trading is not guessing. You want to follow your strategy. Now, this slippery effect, what causes the slippery effect is overconfidence. And that's why I drew it after a win, right? After a win. So how exactly do you get out? The first step is to reduce your risk. So if from this point on to this down point here, you've been risking 1%, you reduce your risk to 0.5% or 0.25%, to the lowest you can reduce it to. So I'm going to use 0.25%. So what is that going to do to your account? It's going to help you flatline your equity curve. All right. So at this point, yes, you might say, oh, but Gideon, if I reduce my risk, my profit will also be reduced. Yes, your profit is going to reduce. You're going to crawl out of this. You won't rush. Reduce your risk. Take your time and pass the challenge. Don't rush and blow the challenge. So if you reduce your risk, let's assume it's a 1:3 trade or a 1:2. If you reduce your risk to 0.25, now each win will take it up just a little bit. So let's assume this is a win. It will take you up just a little bit. But so will the losses. So if you lose, you see, half of your win. Assuming your wins are double of your losses or triple of your losses. So again, if you win, right? And then if you lose, half of your losses. So gradually, you're going to grow this account back up by reducing your risk. Yes, it's going to take more time. Yes, it's going to take more time, but you are building back your mental equity, which you lost here. Okay? You are building it back by going gradually. All right? You don't want to lose your cool. You want to remain disciplined to pass the challenge. So you reduce risk. All right? So this is the first scenario. You reduce risk, reduce risk a lot. So if you continue doing this and you are able to grow the account back, maybe you have 2 wins in a row, right? So if you are risking 0.25, 1 win will take you up 0.5, 1 loss will bring you back down to 5.75. 1 win will take you up close to 5. Another loss will bring you back to minus 5.5. A win will take you up to 5. Another win will take you up to 4.5. And gradually, you would crawl back up. Okay? So once you get to, let's assume you get to this 3. Right? This 3 level. What you're going to do at this point, if you can grow the account back from -6 to -3, and you go above -3, then what you're going to do is you're going to start gradually increasing your risk. So if from this point up to this -3, you are risking 0.25, after you go above -3, maybe you are now down -2 point something, you can increase your risk to 0.5. All right? So you increase your risk to 0.5. So a win will give you what? 1. Right? A win is going to give you 1. If you take a trade with a 1:2 risk to reward ratio, you get, if it's a win, you get 1%. If you risk 0.5%, you get 1%. So from here, you can easily go up to minus 2%. Then you can easily go up to minus 1 and 0, right? But here's the trick. If at this point you increase your risk above 3 and it's a loss, if it's a loss, what you do at that point is you go back to risking 0.25%. You get? So if you go above 3% and that trade is then a loss, maybe you go back. Remember, you're above 3%. So if you lose 0.5%, you'll be like minus 3.5%. Let's just use that, minus 3.5%, right? Then you reduce your risk again to 0.25. So 0.25 will take you back. If it's a win, you go back to 3%, right? And then if it's a loss, you only lose 0.25%, which is very small. But if it's a win, you go up 2%, right? You go up by 1%, a big 1%, and then you continue risking 0.25 until you get back above break even. So if you take another trade and it's a win, you go back to break even. Now, once you are above break even, once you are above this break even, what you want to do next is once you are above this break even, the next thing to do is to increase your risk again, but gradually. You increase your risk to 0.75, not 1%, 0.75. Remember, you are above break even. So if it's a loss, let's say you haven't at break even. If it's a loss, 0.75, you come back minus 0.75. But if it's a win, this marker, let me change this marker. Okay, it's not sharp. Okay, cool. But if it's a win, you go up 0.75 times 2 will give us 0.75 plus 0.75 will give us what? 1.5. Yeah. So you go up 1.5% if it's a win. And you see, like, this is the best risk management strategy you can follow to get out of drawdown. If you follow this risk management strategy, you will get out of any drawdown. The first thing, once you are down, reduce your risk. If you are in deep drawdown, reduce your risk. This video is for any one of you that is in deep drawdown, like really, really deep drawdown. Reduce your risk. See, guys, I'm going to show you my own account, right? Before I learned this, I was exactly at minus 6% before I learned this. And I'm going to show you a screenshot of my account right now. And you will see that I'm following this exact framework. So please do this, because anyone can have a deep drawdown like this. Anyone can have a series of losing trades. Okay, anybody is susceptible to getting a series of losing trades, but how you react at that low point is what really matters. How you react at that low point is what really matters. Some of you, if you are here, you are freaking out. You're like, I've lost the account. Oh my God. Reduce risk. It will take more time to crawl out. Yes, it might take weeks. In fact, it might take months. But you definitely crawl out of that drawdown and you'd grow back and make more money. Now, where this risk management strategy is, the reason why this risk management strategy is so beautiful is that once you are back up, you can go up fast, like really fast. Look at what happened here when you were above minus 3%, right? When you were above minus 3%, what happened? Like you started moving in strides, right? But below that minus 3%, what's happening? You're going just 0.5%, 0.5%. You understand? But after you pass this minus 3%, you start moving 1%, 1%, and then after you get above break even, when you increase your risk to 0.75%, you start moving 1.5%, 1.5%. So that is the beauty of this entire strategy. That's the beauty of it. It will take you up really fast to your target of 10% or 8%. So assuming that trade above break even was a win, then you can increase your risk. You can confidently increase your risk to 1%. And then with a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio, the next trade will be what? If it's a win, you go up to, from 1.5%, you get double of what you risk. If you risk 1%, you get 2%. So you go up 3.5%. But if it's a loss, you come back down to 0.5%. That's the beauty of that's the beauty of this, guys. So once you increase your risk at that point, at that 1.5% level, if it's a loss, you lose 1%, right? You come back to 0.5%. But if it's a win, you go up, boom, 3.5%. You get extra 2% to your account, right? And then I would advise that once you start risking 1%, you stop at 1%. But if you want to increase your risk, it's still possible. It's still simple, right? You increase your risk to maybe 1.5%. If it's a loss, you get back to 2%, right? But if it's a win, risking 1.5% with a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio, if it's a win, you will make back 3%. So 3% plus 3.5% will take you up to what? To 6.5%. Right? And if you risk 1% again, if it's a win, you've passed the challenge. You've gotten what? You get additional 2%, which will take you to 8.5%. So if your target was 8%, you've passed the challenge. But if it's a loss, you go back to 5.5%. Right? Now, if your target was 10%, rather than risking 1%, you risk 1.5%. So that you get 3%. Or you can even risk 2% so that you get 4%. So you see, you get the idea. So as you're winning, you're increasing risk gradually. But while you're losing, you're reducing your risk gradually. Now, assuming I knew of this strategy while I was here, while I was at break even, after the first loss where I was risking 1%, I would have reduced my risk. Right? I would have reduced my risk to maybe 0.5%. And if I did that, this 5 losing trades or 6 losing trades that I had would have, so for instance, I had 6 losing trades, right? So if I lost 1%, I reduced my risk to 0.5%. And let's assume I lost that trade again. Then I'll reduce my risk again to 0.25%. So even though I lose 4 more times, it will just be 2%, right? So here's minus 1.5%, then plus 2%. I would have been here minus 3.5%, right here, rather than 6%, right? Rather than losing 6%, I would have been up here. And all of this would have been easier for me to get back up than here. This is the best risk management strategy you can have out there. Anyways, thank you for watching. Apply this, and I'll catch you some other time.